Well, I guess we're live, Tom.
I guess so.
Welcome to our 50-hour marathon show. Thanks for joining us for our late-night version of the WDW News Today podcast. My name is Eric Morton.
Late-night version?
Yeah. We usually do it at 10 a.m. on
People
Tuesdays.
can watch them whenever, though.
I know we usually release it
For some people, I
Tuesdays
bet
at
it's
10.
a late-night show.
With me, as always, is Mr. Smart Alec, Tom Corliss.
Just say smart ass, it's fine.
It is after 9. Jason's asleep, probably.
Probably. He'll be
read
asleep in 12 minutes.
That's probably true. Anyway, we want to welcome you. This is the first time we've done this live, except if you're a Wigs member, we do these live when we record them. We release them on Tuesdays. This one, you're getting it live because you're watching our broadcast that is supporting the Toys for Tots this year, the 50-hour marathon show. We're already over $5,000 in cash donations and well more than that in terms of auction prizes and things like that. But first, a little housekeeping. Tom has something he'd like to share with everyone.
Well, one of the, of course, so I'll mention this now, even though some of you are watching this later, but for those of you watching live, obviously we're on right now raising money for Toys for Tots. The way to donate is at toys.wdwnt.com. Another way to donate, though, is to take part in our auction, which has over 300 Disney Parks items from around the world in it. One of our sponsors was nice enough to kick in. It's not this model. It's actually the, I think it's the Magic Band reader, right?
The Fireworks Magic Band reader.
Yeah, the Fireworks Magic Band reader from this company is in our auction tonight at auction.wdwnt.com. But because they were nice enough to support us, we want to plug the wait time sign, which they have available, which we've plugged on News Today a bunch. I know you have as well.
Oh, yeah.
And you can see right now on this holiday weekend, Radiator Springs Racers. Oh, it's down a bunch. When I turned this on, it was at 100 minutes. It's a good ad for it. It is live up to the minute. They're down to a 65-minute wait, which there was at 6:49 at night in California.
Yeah, not bad.
They're down to a 65-minute wait. It's kind of fun. Like that'd be fun if you're at Thanksgiving dinner. You just put on the background and everyone just like, oh, look how bad the wait times are. It's Thanksgiving. Of course the park's bad. But these are fun. This was the California Adventure one. That's why there's California Adventure wait times. But they have all different ones. There's the Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Hollywood Studios, Animal Kingdom, Disneyland. And they have the corresponding parks wait times. And I assume Jake has the QR code or link thing up.
Yeah, well, it's www.nt.link/wait is one way to do it.
It just came up when you said it, like magic.
It's like I conjured it out of thin air. You can use the code NEWS15 for a 15% discount.
Yeah.
So order today.
It's a good time to buy a holiday gift, right?
Great time.
There you go.
Great time.
Don't wait for the last minute like some of us. The other housekeeping thing we have to do is donations. Jake, I don't know where we left off. I think we left off on this anonymous one for $25. I think that's where we left off.
There we go. There's more. I don't know if you can read that. We have.
I have them. I have them here. The Jarrett C is where we're picking up. I have them here. Jarrett C donated $25. Tom and Jason, thanks for taking a picture with me and being so kind and sweet in San Diego. Happy holidays. So this is a really funny story. So we got back from the cruise and we're just hanging out in the hotel lobby.
Yeah.
And Jarrett, who came in a custom-made Nick shirt to one of the News Tonights of all people, ran into us in the lobby.
Oh, wow.
It was so weird. He wasn't going to the cruise or anything for work. He just ended up there, and of all places, the same hotel lobby. So we took a picture with him. Michael Shetty is our next one. Donated $50. Tom, I just got back from Tokyo Disney Resort. It was an amazing trip. Thanks for recommending Tokyo Disneyland and Disney Sea. It was a life-changing trip for our family. Another satisfied customer.
Wow.
I wish I owned a part
I wish you were on the payroll there.
I should be.
Yeah.
Man, no, I'm just a satisfied customer. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad another person went and had a great time. I love to hear that. Anonymous donated $100.
Oh, thank you.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to Tom and all the WWNT team. Hope your families all have a happy holiday season. Actually, it's BC Fan 772. It just was anonymous on the top of the donation. Brings our new total. Oh, wait, there's more. Hold on. Matthew Frey. Oh, no, there's another one in between. Anonymous donated $100 as well. Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much.
Matthew Frey donated $50. And Bethany Buchanan donated $20, which brings our total to $5,760. Of course, we have a long way to go to our goal.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys will get us there. A lot of you like to wait. But in the meantime, if you're not going to be around the next 24 hours to watch the rest of our programming, or you're going to miss the live auction, which you shouldn't because it's a tremendous thing to watch, believe it or not. It gets pretty crazy.
It's wild.
If you're not going to be around and you enjoy our programming, whether it's this podcast, The Honest Reviews, News Today, whatever you enjoy from us, We don't ask that you give us money. We ask that you give money to Toys for Tots, which is an amazing organization that makes sure that underprivileged kids get a toy this holiday season. If you're watching this later when it's edited and released, the link will still be up at toys.wdwnt.com. You can still donate.
The auction will be done.
The auction will be done, but you could still at least donate to Toys for Tots in our name, because I think it'll at least be a week until we go give the money to the organization, transfer the money to the organization.
Lot 300.
What about
Spend a day with Tom Corliss at Disney World. What do you think it's up to?
$3,000?
$2,150.
Oh, okay.
$2,150.
The Club 33 is over $3,000.
Club 33 is $3,550.
But not to dissuade people in the auction. There's plenty of like affordable things. There's T-shirts.
Yeah, there's stuff for
and
this
pins
at $7,
There's all sorts of
$5.
cool stuff. But there are those cool experiences. Nick's Maxi Van experience, the new Snipe VIP.
Yeah.
And you and Jill are doing a
Yeah,
thing
we're
again,
over
right?
$640, I think.
There you go.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad if you need it. So we got to try to outkick that bar tab.
You got to at least, yeah. It has to be, again, all this money is going to go, 100% of that money goes to the charity. So we essentially are we're offering your time and the bar tab, yeah.
Someone has graciously donated a 2-night stay at a vacation home they have here in Orlando.
Right.
That's
Super
over
cool.
$400 now. That's really cool. It sleeps 12 people, so $400, that's a steal. So not to drag this out, but this is a great cause. Auction.wwnt.com. 100% of the proceeds go to Toys for Tots. So we're pretty excited about that. Today's topic of conversation is going to be the worst Disney attractions of all time.
This is a good topic.
We have also asked some of the wigs. We can people in a live chat if you want to participate. Of course.
Yeah, this is what we do with the wigs usually, because the wigs $7 and up get to watch us actually record these live every week and we'll interact with them. But because this is the marathon show, we're doing something a little different and everybody gets to interact. But if you enjoy what we're about to do, this interactive part, you can do that with us every week.
I don't even know where to start. Look, there have been some bad Disney attractions early on, especially. There were a lot of hit and miss, right? Some of the old stuff was bad.
Like what?
I don't know, the like World of Aluminum and
the Kaiser Aluminum Hall of Fame.
Yeah, there was the paint one.
Were they bad, or were they like interventions exhibits where it's like, oh, that's fine? Like, no one invested a lot of time, so does anyone really care that it wasn't amazing, right? Like, I don't know. Like the pack mules. I'm sure the pack mules didn't change anyone's life at Disneyland, but I'm sure it also wasn't like the worst time anyone's ever had.
I'm a little annoyed that we're both wearing like similar colored T-shirt or shirts.
It's the company color.
You are. I'm wearing the Main Street Electrical Parade. You have the WDWNT official
from Carousel Products.
From carouselproducts.com.
We still have Gertie shirts. They came back, and there's like 80 of them. Yeah, you didn't know that?
No.
There's like 80 of them left, so go get them, carouselproducts.com. Then when they're gone, we're not ordering them again. This is the last run.
That's it.
So
we draw the line at selling 280 of them or whatever.
Yeah, whatever. It's not a lot. So go get them. There's like 80 left. We already sold half of this allotment, I think. So go grab them now. But I'm all Carousel of Products today. So this is the WWT button down, which we still have available. But underneath that, can I do this?
It's after 10 p.m. Right? That's not quite 10 yet.
I have the Nautilus. It's the Let's Get Naughty shirt with the Nautilus on it, because we're going to be playing after this on the live stream. We're playing the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea board game from 1971 at the Magic Kingdom. You going to join us for that?
No, I'm going to sleep.
You're coming to play Lorcana in the morning.
I know. I got to get some sleep. I've never played Lorcana before. I have to Google how to play it. I don't want to just get smoked by all these people that are Lucas. Lorcana nerds. I want to stand up for those of us that don't have time to devote all this time and effort to this fandom.
Alicia's going to destroy everyone, apparently.
Yeah, Alicia and Lucas probably.
That's the consensus. I don't think Lucas is playing.
Yeah. So how was everything? I haven't seen you in weeks.
Very
all I did
hectic
was
and
keep
busy,
your chair
right? Because
warm.
they're two very short times in which to cover a lot, right? So for those that don't know, I had two back-to-back work trips, which was, number one was we did the first maritime cruise on the Disney Magic out of San Diego. Yeah. Which the purpose was we don't have any, I'd never been on that ship, so we don't have any Disney Magic content, so we're covering the whole ship. But also...
It's the old gal, the original.
Also, they revamped the Maritime, so there were new character costumes, a new deck show, a new tree lighting show, and a bunch of other little stuff, new merchandise. And so we went to cover all that. If you want to watch any of those things, if you want to watch all the new meet and greets, the deck show, and the tree lighting, they're all actually up here on the channel already. But there's still plenty more content. There's food reviews. Jason and I did a bunch of food reviews. There's gonna
I love the idea of you and
vlog.
Jason bumbling around Mexico. Like, I don't know.
There's some funny stuff. There's some funny stuff in there for sure. That vlog will come out eventually, but a lot of little content already coming out from there, and the dining reviews and such will be coming soon. So we had to do that. That's just a 5-night, so not a lot of time to do a lot. And then I left immediately from San Diego. I flew to Hong Kong, which takes a while, and I arrived.
How long is that flight? Was it nonstop to Hong Kong?
No, it was I flew United, which wasn't bad. I've never flown United before, or at least it's been a very long time.
Maybe my stepbrother was your
LA.
pilot. Was it an Airbus A320 something?
I think so.
Yeah, you never know. It's probably him. They probably only have 2-3 pilots there.
So anyway, San Diego to San Francisco.
Yeah.
And then San Francisco to Hong Kong, which was, I think, about a 12, somewhere in that zone, 12 hours. Got there at 6-something in the morning with the park opening at 10:30 on the grand opening day of World of Frozen. And I made it with time to spare.
Wow.
So got to be there for the grand opening. Saw Daddy Josh. Josh Tomorrow was there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Still, he was there for a while.
They
then.
all stayed. I was
They were
surprised.
there for a few
Everyone-
days before
the
you got there.
Imagineers, everybody stayed through. The ambassadors left. I caught a great guy, Stephen Miller. I don't know if you're Stephen Miller.
Yeah.
Stephen Miller used to be in charge of pins and vinylmation back in the day. He was a former ambassador. And now he does, is it public affairs or external affairs? I forget what exactly he does now. But you'll see him on the Parks blog and stuff occasionally still. Great guy. I ran into them.
You don't hear Tom say that very often about people from the Parks blog.
Stephen, since I was before I even did any of this, just when I did pins and vinylmation.
Did you talk to Josh?
No, I didn't get to talk to him this time.
Yeah.
No. So it saw Stephen leaving, and I assume the ambassadors went out that day too. But a lot of people stayed. I met some people from the communications team and stuff that were still there. And
Were they following you?
no, actually, the nice conversation. No, like things like. Look, a lot of stuff has changed, right? I think we had a very tumultuous relationship with Disney during the Bob Chapek years, and we're coming out of that now. And I like it. It's really reassuring that there are people, everyone in the company feels comfortable talking to us at WWNT now, and you don't need to. I don't need to be on the media list. I don't care about that. Doesn't
Yeah, we
mean
know
anything
that.
to me. But the fact that we can have a healthy relationship, like enough to have conversations and talk and say hello. That's, and treat each other as, both sides as human beings. That's a big step from where we were a couple of years ago during the Chapek years. And that's great. It's all I could ask for. So it's nice. But I got there just in time, had 4 days in Hong Kong, and then had to fly back to be here just within hours of the start of our 50-hour marathon. It's been a long
Random aside here. I think while you were gone, someone directed me to a video that someone made that had quite a few views. That was them kind of recapping our second episode where we talked about vloggers and bloggers and influencers and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit of a mixed bag. I think their comments were supportive of us, and the people who did it, I apologize. I don't know exactly who they were, but they had. I'm sure it's easy to find out there. But the funniest part was the one thing they didn't believe is that someone had to point out that Florida Resident Edits existed to you and that you didn't know. I was like, they're like, of course he knew. I'm like, it's a pretty small channel.
I haven't watched that.
It's
video.
a pretty small channel. They only have like 10,000 subscribers. So is
so
it really that
why
hard to
would I
believe that
know-
Tom would know who they were? And that like we don't watch a lot of like other channels. And I mean,
Who has
I know who they are, but if I watch YouTube, it's mostly to like look up video game stuff or how to fix my front door lock when the battery runs out.
You know who I ran into? Ended up waiting in line for the grand opening of World of Frozen with JoJo.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we
It's funny how many Americans were there. There was a whole lot of us were there.
Not me.
No,
Someone had to read.
You
the
had to
news
hold
to
down the
people,
fort, man.
Someone had to do it.
Someone had to be the Squid Man and read the news.
I got a vacation like the week before, so.
How was your cruise? Did we even talk about it?
I cruised on Royal Caribbean. Does that even count? Does our audience even care? I don't know.
I mean, it's a cruise.
Yeah, I did get recognized on the cruise by some viewers. That was nice.
You know what was weird? I got stopped a lot in Hong Kong by people that live there.
Oh, really?
That in my 2 previous trips, no one had ever stopped me there. So if you wonder the reach of WDWNT, it's amazing. There's people in Hong Kong that read and watch WDWNT. I think more so watch. I think YouTube is the way a lot of the theme park fans there ingest information.
I want to go to Hong Kong really bad.
It's great. I love
Mystic
that.
Manor obviously is on the bucket list, but it's beautiful. It just looks geographically, Hong Kong looks so beautiful. It almost looks fake. It almost looks like it's out of a video game or something.
We could certainly edit this in. Just my view out the window at Explorers Lodge with the mountains in the background and the ocean.
Yeah.
To wake up to that every day, it's like going to Hawaii. It's that kind of setting. It's just gorgeous. And then the park, this cute little Disneyland park up against the mountains on the ocean.
Yeah.
They have the best location of all of them, at least.
Oh, it's got to be the most beautiful, like
so
stunning
pretty.
vistas from any Disney park.
Their sunrise and sunset there are super pretty too. I love Hong Kong. I love it.
That's great.
We'll get you out there at some point.
One of these days.
Japan first, probably.
Yeah, I got to go to Japan first. I've never been to Paris, never been to Shanghai. I'm just
a
a
whole lot on
domestic
your
Disney
list, man.
dork. So we want to talk about worst Disney attraction of all time.
The opposite of Mystic Manor.
Right, the opposite of Mystic Manor, which may be the best according to many people.
I think current day it's the
maybe.
best, yeah.
Well, you think Journey to the Center of the Earth might be the best. I think.
No, I think no.
You think Mystic Manor's better?
Mystic far and away
All right.
was my number one.
Here's one. It's not on a list I typed out for you, but it's an obvious one, and we've talked about it at Lampoon this attraction for years. Superstar Limo at Disney California Adventure.
Yeah.
So this was an attraction, and I think they were trying to take a tongue-in-cheek, look at Hollywood culture and paparazzi
Well, the
and
whole
this sort
park was
of absurdity of Hollywood.
Yeah.
What they got was really a crappy attraction.
Yeah.
That didn't resonate with anybody. Everyone thought they're making a joke of their own park, right? It's a park about California, and they're kind of just joke. They took it maybe a little too far. What do you think?
But that was what the whole park was, right? It was all puns.
Like a hokey.
Everything was puns, right? Like outside of that is the facade that's La Brea carpets instead of La Brea tar pits.
Yeah.
But think about even Paradise Pier was a hokey knockoff of an amusement pier in California, right?
Yeah.
Pizza Mau Mau, Dinosaur Jack's Sunglass Shack.
Yeah.
A roller coaster themed to traffic called Mulholland Madness.
Yeah.
It was all hokey and corny and tongue in cheek and making fun of California. Nothing in the park was really serious. Maybe outside of Soarin', nothing was really serious. And I think people felt like it was a slap, especially next to Disneyland, which is the birthplace of the charming dark ride. To have this across the street,
right.
I think people were insulted, and so the idea was they closed it within the first year because they found out that literally the park tested better with guests if you just closed that. If you had one less thing to do, people didn't care so long as they didn't have to ride this monstrosity.
Yeah, and as someone who, my first time going to DCA was in the earlier year, it was 2009, 2010.
Yeah.
And it was bad. I wouldn't have gone back. I thought this is just a bad experience. I went basically to see the, what they called Disney's Electrical Parade when it was at DCA, right? I was excited to see that. And everything else, I was like, really? Everything about this park is below standard. So when I went back, after they added Cars Land and they did all this stuff, it was so good.
Yeah.
Tom, it was so much better. And so now I really love that park. I don't think it's a park that has a lot of I don't think I could go to, when I've been to Disneyland 3 times this year. And that's a lot for when you have 2 parks, 3 times is a lot. 3 weeks or not even 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But that park still, the addition of Cars Land puts it over the top.
Yeah.
There are still all kinds of problems with that park, right?
Yeah, they made all new ones after. It seemed like they were finally on the road with Buena Vista Street and Cars Land. They were finally on the road to figuring that park out. And then they followed it up with the Grizzly Peak Airfield thing was great. Not so much Soarin' Around the World. I like old Soarin' better, but the theme over there, the national park,
right?
And it's really charming, and again embraces in a very not tongue in cheek, a very sincere way. Cover something that's a big part of California. There's a ton of national parks in California.
Yeah.
And then after that, they're we enter the Bob Chapek era, which we go back to tongue-in-cheek nonsense, right? It's, the amusement pier could be themed to Pixar.
Yeah.
And then it's, oh, well, you know, big tech exists in California. What if we built an Avengers land and it's themed to like Silicon Valley?
Right.
And no, that's garbage. Those are garbage lands. As opposed to you had a land that celebrated California car culture, a land that celebrated the Hollywood Walt Disney arrived in the 1920s, and a land that celebrated the golden age of the National Park Service.
Yeah.
Those are all wonderful highlights of California history.
Some of those touches, like you said, Soarin', right? There, you walk in there and it's you go to Epcot and it's just kind of like it's all steel and neon and this perforated metal hallways, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. What's that?
Came at a bad time in Imagineering.
Yeah. And then you go at DCA and you're in this hangar and it's celebrating like the golden age of aviation, and it's celebrating real people, Chuck Yeager and Amelia Earhart, and kind of this leather helmet and goggles and scarf kind of aviation era too.
A pioneer spirit in California, right? And a sincere thing that park, again, had very little sincerity. But that was sincere, and that's why it resonated with people. It wasn't just that it was this cool new attraction. I think it was sincere. No,
it's great. You still end up with a flight attendant for a hang glider. I don't know.
Yeah, I know,
but you still.
It's a great pre-show.
There's something wonderful about it, and when you're in it, when you're in the middle of it, it feels good. It feels right. So, but Superstar Limo, man. I mean, they did what they could with it. Now it's better.
I like Monsters Inc. I think people sell that short. Like, it doesn't need to exist forever, but I think it's a really cute little dark ride.
No, there's nothing wrong with it. It's not. It's not a memory. It's not going to change anyone's life. I don't think.
I think there's people that
rare
really
is the day that you're going to find someone who's like, you know what, my favorite attraction and my favorite Disney attraction is Monsters Inc.
Not every ride in the park has to be everyone's favorite. They just have to be enjoyable, right? Like. Yeah. I don't know if like Casey Jr. Circus Train and Storybook Land are probably not anyone's favorite attraction at Disneyland, but I love the hell out of them, right? Like I still want them to be there. Monsters Inc. falls in that category. I think it's a fun little charming ride, and I enjoy it.
All right. How about Journey into Narnia, Prince Caspian?
Oh my God, these were the worst. So these were walkthrough style attractions at studios. The first one was Journey into Narnia, creating the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. For some reason, that one was slightly better than the second one, which people went through, and there was a video show portion at the end, and then a wall raised, and the thing was over, and people looked around and were like, that's what we waited for? So you like saw sets and props, and then went into a room where like a little video show happened, and it wasn't much anything, and then people just left very disappointed. It was kind of garbage.
And you can have walkthrough attractions that are good.
Oh,
this just wasn't.
And this is
Treehouse. I think treating Narnia like it was some top tier.
They had done plenty of these like prop walkthrough things at studios in that space previously. There was a 101 Dalmatians one. There was a Haunted Mansion when the first movie came out, the live action one. I mean, they're all live action, but the 2003 one, those were fine. It's cool to go see movie props and sets, but to treat it like an attraction where you had to watch like a show, no, it just didn't. It didn't work, and it was pretty bad. And then it got replaced with something which you probably don't have on this list, but most people claim is one of the worst attractions they've ever seen, which is the Legend of Captain Jack Sparrow, which was the in the round projection mapping show, the interactive projection mapping show, which I don't think was that bad. I think people were super mean about it. And then people had the gall to love Runaway Railway, and all I could think about Runaway Railway is it's the Jack Sparrow show, but as a ride. Like, you go into a room that's completely projection mapped in circle, in 360 degrees, but it's still kind of flat and things happen. Like that's Runaway Railway. But whatever.
All right, another one, and a lot of people agree, I think. Jake's going to be mad. Stitch's Great Escape. Yeah. Non-canon prequel, so you really can't hold it against them for if you hold it against Stitch, right? It's not even really part of Stitch's real story. They're trying to make it a prequel.
So it started somewhat as a canon attraction, right? The thing that made it not canon was his name being Stitch, right? He's not named Stitch until he comes to Earth, and Lilo gives him the name. Other than that, it was in story at the beginning. Then they did a weird update where they made it not in story, where he lands not in Hawaii, he lands in Florida. at Disney World. So he goes to the castle and knocks on the door, and Cinderella's like, "You're not my prince," and then he like giggles and leaves. And then they had him like riding the Astro Orbiter, and everyone's just sitting there like, number one, this was awful before this moment. And then in the end, again, you're insulting my intelligence. I've seen this movie. He lands in Hawaii and meets Lilo. Like, I don't need the ending to be some stupid, funny, like, oh, look, he's making trouble. You know, I don't know.
Obviously, the chili dog burp is the one thing everyone remembers from that ride.
I remember the animatronic.
I said ride.
I liked that the animatronic spit on people. I liked the guns. The guns were cool.
Yeah.
But the writing, they wrote it in it was a really dumb attraction.
Yeah.
It's a shame. They built a great animatronic. It was a tremendous movie. And they built something that just people did not fix the problems of Alien Encounter, actually made them worse. Like, it was still as scary, but you now brought small children in because it's Stitch.
Right.
So they were still as afraid of the dark as they were when there was an actual scary alien, in the tube. I'm just glad Skippy got to live. Skippy got to be part of that, and I got to go see Skippy, and that was enough for me. But God, was that an awful, awful show.
And it lasted a long time. Let's
12,
see, it opened in 2004, it closed in 2016.
10, 11 years, yeah.
That's a pretty good run for a
Piece of garbage.
piece of garbage. No offense, Jake. We love Stitch.
I love Stitch. I love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies.
Honorable mention, I did go on Mission to Mars. It was not good.
The loud seat going up like 2 inches, and then, yeah.
Basically,
Look it up, kids.
Basically, they had a circle in the middle with like the Stellarvator at Space 220, right?
Which is basically,
where you're basically looking at Earth or wherever.
And above.
And
it was both. It was the same as the
below and
Stellarvator,
above,
yeah.
And you just blast it off and you go to Mars and something happens, you have to leave and come back. By the way, the journey to and from Mars is very short.
Yeah.
A journey that normally would take us a few years, a few moments. I don't even remember if you went into sleep or how they did that, but it was not a good
weird spiral effect on the screen or something. It was weird.
Like I will also say that for all of its charms and all of the accolades and everything that people have for Alien Encounter, it wasn't for me a do every time in the park type of
That's
attraction.
Fair.
It was,
I love the pre-show.
Yeah.
I don't think the main show was great.
There's only so much you can do sitting in that room.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like the portion where you're just sitting in the dark, like it Alien Encounter definitely had problems. I love Alien Encounter. I love the aesthetic. Yeah. And I like the fact that Disney did something creative and weird and different. But honestly, like that's one of the best pre-shows of all time, and then one of the most main shows.
They made an anti-corporate ride.
Yeah.
Which is kind of
evil
funny.
Corporation. Yeah, no, it's just a lot of fun. The source material is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Here's an attraction. You actually have a sign from this attraction behind you on the floor.
Over there.
The load area for Rocket Rods. Rocket Rods is at Disneyland. They basically shut down. I don't even know when they shut. Okay, they shut down a People Mover in August of '95. Rocket Rods goes in and they basically want to turn the People Mover into a thrill ride. What if we made people go fast on this?
What if you built Test Track on the People Mover track?
Yeah, kind of like that, except they didn't want to bank the turns.
Didn't want to spend the money.
So you would have to accelerate very quickly, but only on the straightaways. Yeah. Then have to slow down so they can make the turns.
It turns out that's not healthy for the
it's
tires
not good
nor
for
the vehicle.
Yeah, or the computer system.
Yeah.
So this ride was down more than it was up, I think.
Yeah.
They find out that it's actually physically stressing out the support beams and infrastructure for the ride. It closes. They, by the way, spent $25 million on this thing.
Yeah.
$25 million on something that was I mean, you could say it was open for 2 years.
Failure in the history of Walt Disney Imagineering, I would say.
There were 2 years between when it opened and when it closed, but it was not open for 2 years. It was open. I mean, it was almost immediately closed for something like 5 months, right?
So the most infamous story is the loss of the sponsor, right? So Goodyear continues the sponsorship from People Mover because the People Mover system at Disneyland was different. It was a series of tires in the track that kicked the vehicle down the line. So Goodyear continued their sponsorship because it's a car attraction. Okay, we'll provide the tires for the car. About a week or so into the attraction operating, they call Goodyear and go, "We're out of tires." And Goodyear goes, "We gave you a year's supply of tires." They're like, we've blown them all out already. And Goodyear said, well, that's it. No more.
This was supposed to be part of like an overarching, Tomorrowland 2055 project.
Well, no, Tomorrowland 2055 didn't happen. This was instead.
This was like kind of a
Tomorrowland.
replacement for this. It didn't happen because as we've discussed on other episodes, among other things, Disneyland Paris trying to bankrupt the company.
Scared,
right?
yeah.
So they got spooked by the cost overruns in Paris.
Guess who worked on this? This was Tony Baxter, New Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
And he's gone on record since. I've seen him in interviews say that he made a mistake and he should have instead taken the money. He tried to use what essentially was the budget for one e-ticket attraction and spread it through a whole land and did a lot of things very poorly. What they should have done was take all that money and built one big new Tomorrowland e-ticket and that would have been a better benefit for Disneyland.
I don't remember specifically everything that was included in Tomorrowland 2055, but I think that was Disney Decade stuff. I know it was going to be the Plek 2 thing that we discussed.
Intergalactic Review,
There were a few other things
kinds of
associated with this, but
Alien Encounter.
Yeah, Alien Encounter. We have
the plans for that version.
We have the
over
architectural
there.
drawings here in our museum. So
Wow.
if you come to a show, you can see them.
And the concept art's behind you.
There's some of the concept art
I don't know
here.
what's in my. Actually, if you stay on that shot. So this, I might as well talk about it. It's right here. See these things over here? They're kind of hard to see, but it's a big like eagle in a specific style. These big maquettes. And there's like a rougher gray one in the background. Those are all for the concept art behind Eric. That's the building that would have been the Tomorrowland 2055 Alien Encounter building for Disneyland. And then these are the maquettes that the artist made, which would have been the part that the People Mover would have went through.
Right.
You could see the People Mover car going past this eagle design on this building. So
What I really like about that, though, is it's a futuristic design, but those eagles are reminiscent of like the Chrysler building, like Art Deco style. They look like it looks like it's flat, but all the embellishments on the building remind me of something like the Chrysler building.
So it's a little bit in the same vein as Discoveryland in Paris, right? Where
Right.
they, in that vein, they chose French, visionaries, right?
Right.
So Jules Verne, H.G. Wells. For the American Tomorrowlands, there was a little Jules Verne, H.G. Wells in New Tomorrowland in Florida, but it's a little more. I think it's a little more Buck Rogers and a little more. It's a little more 30s sci-fi, and then for the Disneyland one, you're right. They were going a little more Art Deco, still like 30s, but a different vibe for sure.
You used to talk about Buck Rogers, and it reminds me of one that we asked our wigs for. It's on the back of this page. An attraction that's at DCA, the Golden Zephyr, where these kind of look like Buck Rogers rockets, but they're reminiscent of a certain like Art Deco time period.
Yeah.
And
It's the only ride on the pier that actually brings to mind the romance of like the early 1900s like pleasure pier kind of thing, right?
right. They're basically modeled after something I think that was real in Chicago. I love it. I love the Golden Zephyr. I'm probably the only person that does. I don't ride it every time. I love
like
the look
it.
and aesthetic of
It's
it.
so dumb, but I love it.
And I love the lady. She's like, "Come on and get your Sally in the saddle on the Golden Zephyr," and you're like, I like all that kind of like.
I love it. The have a humdinger of a time.
Have a humdinger of a time.
Welcome aboard the Golden Zephyr.
I sent Jake, he's not gonna be able to put it on here. I sent Jake some video from the Golden Zephyr because it gives a really good view of the park while you're riding. I like it.
It's also mildly thrilling. It's more thrilling than it looks like from the.
The last time I was there, it went down a lot.
What? The slightest breeze, it closes.
10 miles an hour, I think. That
Like
and
everything
Jumpin'
is
Jellyfish will both close at 10 mile an hour sustained winds.
God, I hate jumping jellyfish.
It is not good, and it's not on our list, but we can add it.
You know what
We're
I hate about
charging
jumping jellyfish? You talk about how much you like the announcer at Golden Zephyr. I despise the jumping jellyfish. Hey kids,
it. No, it needs to be Marlin.
jump jellies.
You know what these are?
That of all the things that should be
Jellyfish.
Pixar
Yeah.
themed, that should actually be Nemo
Right.
themed. Why did it not extend to that?
Jumping
I don't
jellyfish.
understand. Like
don't
all
know.
the other stuff made no sense. They're like, what do you do for Inside Out? Balloons. What?
A
no,
flat
you
spinner.
have a balloon movie, you idiots. There is literally a Pixar movie about balloons. What have you done?
Oh my God.
Toy Story carousel. No, what are you doing? You're like, yeah, they ride horses, but what if the carousel doesn't have horses?
I picture Bob Chapek saying, like, we were going to do the Jumpin' Jellyfish
God.
as a Finding Nemo ride, but the decals were super expensive. So we just left it because I think it and Zephyr are basically, and I guess Goofy Sky School, like the only things that didn't get touched over in that area of the park, right?
No, Sky School did the first
Did
time.
oh yeah, it did.
Because that was Mulholland Madness. Zephyr and Jellyfish are the two things they just didn't touch at all. And there's one other thing in that area they didn't touch at all. The bathrooms. The bathrooms.
I'm so glad I didn't start drinking.
The bathrooms behind Goofy Sky School or Mulholland Madness that are next to what was Burger Invasion, which is now Paradise Garden Grill, are still Route 66 themed. So they have tile work that looks like it has cacti and a Route 66 sign.
Why not?
And all that, even though, again, an area themed to a pier and not Route 66, but we won't get into this now. That's still back there. And also, Corndog Castle was modified, but it's still, Corndog Castle's still kicking.
I love that entrance, by the way. If you're staying at one of those Disney resorts, you walk in the back there. But
it's weird, but it's a nice benefit. Yeah.
I guess we can talk about Sky School since we're in that area.
I hate Sky School.
So just lump it in, I guess, with Primeval Whirl. Just
I think it's worse.
A wild mouse off the shelf coaster that they put together in an hour and a half.
Junk.
Yeah, these are below Disney standards. Primeval Whirl, they went out of their way to kind of make a kind of a funny and coherent story for it.
It's dinosaur.
It's dinosaur told in a
carnival fair ride.
In a carnival ride. Sky School, I get it, right? I think we have enough like.
It's a funny theme, right? Those goofy how-to shorts are great, but I think they could have afforded to just not had this ride.
The world has enough wild mouse coasters. Go to your local carnival to ride them. Don't pay $150 to go into a park that where you're standing in line for a while too, right? Goofy Sky School. What's the wait time? I don't know. We can check that.
It's an uncomfortable vehicle.
What's the wait time, Tom?
I have to go back around.
Well, it is getting later in California, so.
Goofy Sky School is currently at a 40-minute wait.
For a junky ride, it's always got a long wait.
In a million years, I would never.
Yeah. So there you go.
God.
And that's at
Sky School is not
7:24
World.
p.m.
They're different things. One had a spinning vehicle,
but they're both wild mouse off the shelf.
They are both
coasters.
wild mouse
different
off the shelf. But Primeval World does not deserve to be. They're both garbage, but Primeval World's slightly better garbage. At least it had the spinning gimmick, and there was more going on than just paint the track sky blue.
Yeah, I mean Primeval World, dual track too, right?
Better capacity for sure. Yeah, there were bigger vehicles.
Better capacity. It was what 18 years, so that's not bad. Unfortunately, two deaths on Primeval.
Yeah,
that's not good.
Member,
Anyway, back to our list. Oh boy, sounds dangerous.
I think this is the worst thing they ever did.
Really?
Yes, this operated from April of 1999 until May of seasonally. It went seasonal in 2009 and then closed officially on May 18th of 2012. This was at Studios. Next door to where Frozen is now, the Hyperion Theater. Next door was the ABC Sound Studio. Former home of Monster Sound
I loved Monster Sound Show.
It's great. And then even the 101 Dalmatians ABC cartoon, the one Saturday morning one was fine. There's nothing wrong with it. So guests would wear headphones and in the dark for majority of the show, although visuals were also utilized on a projection screen in front of guests. Drew Carey played an undercover detective named Foster, and it would use binaural audio. So you'd wear headsets with binaural audio, similar to what would happen in Alien Encounter, except you're wearing headphones.
Right.
So you'd hear like what the detective is hearing.
Right.
But it was really stupid.
And in contrast,
not funny.
Monster Sound Show, you'd walk in and you're basically on a Foley stage.
Yeah.
So you have live cast members there helping you do the walking on gravel when they're starting to walking on gravel, make rain noises when it's raining, and they tape the audience shouting Monster Sound Show, and everything appears.
And it also had a very funny little film with Chevy Chase and Martin Short, right?
Yeah. And you would say, look out. They tape the audience saying, look out. And they do it. And at the end, something falls and Chevy Chase stops. He goes, thanks.
Yeah.
And then you would exit there, and they had the little booths where you could do, if you wanted to do the binaural audio, you'd put on headphones in a soundproof booth. And they had a very good, I think, for its time period, a very good little audio show where I don't remember everything. You're going to Mickey's office, and you're getting a haircut, and then Mickey comes and puts ears on you, and it feels like you're getting your haircut, like with this binaural audio. I thought it was really good. Then you could also record your own audio they had little screens and a microphone. You could do pick maybe 5 or 6 different scenes from classic animated features and record a scene. And I thought that was great.
It was really fun.
I thought it was really great. And then Sounds Dangerous was just like a big swing and a miss.
There was this big edict. I think they spent so much money buying ABC that there were a lot of attempts in this period to bring ABC into the parks. And other things they were doing right. So at this same year, Doug Live opened next door, which was another piece of garbage. One of the worst things I've ever seen. And so this whole building basically condemned itself in very short order. I mean, they left Sounds Dangerous operating because it was low cost and they needed capacity. But Doug Live, I don't think ran for more than a year and a half. It was very short-lived.
They should bring it back, but make it Doug the dog from Up. Doug Live. That'd be better. So
yeah, they were trying to get all this ABC and all this television stuff into the park, and then same with the Soap Opera Bistro, which is I will tell you one thing from old DC I wish I got to experience was Soap Opera Bistro. But for those that don't know, think of like the fun of sci-fi dine-in or 50s primetime, but the idea of like a restaurant with live entertainment where you're dining in a soap opera and they come in and do over-the-top soap opera scenes.
Yeah.
In front of you and you're part of it. It just sounds like a really fun concept. It's certainly a stronger concept and a better promotional vehicle for ABC than this thing was.
Yeah. Unfortunate. All right. This one's going to get you going.
Yeah.
A Journey into Your Imagination. Was based on Honey, I Shrunk the Audience, featured imagination scanner, so that you basically start the ride. Nigel Channing's still there, right? He's your guide, Eric Idle. Yeah. And they would scan your, the way I remember it, they would scan your imagination, and there's nothing there at the beginning of the ride.
You're an idiot.
You're a moron.
You're a moron.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you go through these different things about maybe,
you go through these rudimentary
Yeah.
scenes. One of them's literally just lights that show colors and play sounds. There's another one where there's optical illusions, like a cinder block going through a glass table.
It was very condescending, I think, to its audience.
And they killed Figment and the Dreamfinder. Figment was he was in it like for 2 seconds. He was a constellation. And then at the end, he would magically show up and be like, "You're quite brilliant." And you'd be like, "Where were you the rest of the ride? What the hell did you do?"
They killed off Dreamfinder. They cut out a ton of the actual track space.
Yeah, and obviously the scenes were garbage.
The scenes were bad.
They left like bare walls, and you could still see a lot of it in the current version. But what a one of the worst things they've ever done. If there wasn't things like Superstar Limo, if there weren't things like Superstar Limo and Rocket Rods on here, I would say this, and Sounds Dangerous, I would say this is the worst thing they've ever done.
I mean, you think about it, Disney closed it 2 years later. They're like, okay,
I mean, yeah,
we owe
it
everybody.
did not last long, yeah.
Honorable mention, people did mention it in Wiggs Court, is Journey to Imagination.
The current one, yeah.
The current one.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but it's still way better than this one.
Yeah.
I mean, at least people that worked on the next one cared. They did what they could. But yeah, it's not great.
All right, now we come to one that I think is
favorite,
my least favorite Disney attraction currently.
Yeah.
Beauty and the Beast Sing Along in France. There's not a lot of information, like Wikipedia doesn't have a lot about it. Basically, they reimagine the entertainment world went through this phase of like kind of whitewashing villains, right? So we had Maleficent, all of a sudden she's this sympathetic figure in movies. Wicked, where you take, all these people. This was very big in pop culture where people wanted to hear these stories of villains told as if they are a hero.
Cruella.
So, Cruella, right. All this is going on even now.
Yeah.
Basically, everybody who's bad has a good reason they're bad.
Yeah.
That's basically that sums up kind of how this went.
Yeah.
How can we monetize a popular franchise by telling it from someone else's perspective? Mm-hmm. So this is LeFou all along is actually a matchmaker. He's trying to get Beast and Belle together, right? And I guess we ignore the fact that like he had her father thrown in an insane asylum
Yep.
and all these other things, but he's trying to get them together. So there are these older animated scenes that are beautiful from the original film, and they've added LeFou, these little vignettes with
which are
LeFou
drawn in
there, which
Saturday
look-
morning animation quality.
Yeah, they don't quite look right.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing is they take maybe one of the most beloved soundtracks in Disney history, and they shorten the songs so you can't sing along with them.
In something called a sing along.
Right, in a sing along. So and I will contrast this. I was just at the What's This, the Jack Skellington Nightmare sing-along. And they take songs that, let's face it, aren't real like toe tapper sing-along type songs, and they go deep. I mean, they go long. Yeah. This one, they go into the opening thing like Little Town, It's a Quiet Village.
They cut that song
and they're like,
off.
Bonjour, and that's it. The kids can't even sing the song.
The best part hasn't even happened yet.
Right, they literally haven't even gotten to like the chorus, and you can't sing along. They just zip along, and not only that, I think they took this and they just really stuck with it, bullheaded. They're like, we are going to replace Impressions de France.
Yeah,
and people are like, you got to do something that's better than Impressions. Look, it's on our list too. Some people don't like Impressions de France. I love Impressions de France. I know a lot of people don't.
We call those people dumb.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like classical composers. I like classical poetry. I like the imagery of it.
It's not the most interesting thing, but it's
better.
At least it's art, right? Like they developed it's an interesting projection system. It's this big wide format that was very hard to film and produce at that time. It was innovative.
It's France telling you the story of their people.
Yeah. And it's at least beautiful and musically beautiful.
And it's gorgeous. Now, it's not always going to be everybody's cup of tea.
No,
right?
but it's not bad.
But it is. It's not corny. It doesn't. It doesn't try to reduce things to making everything a laugh.
No.
The LeFou thing is corny. It tries to make something funny that's not. And now I guess we get Impressions de France for an hour a day now or something like that.
Whatever it is,
when we get it. And that's unfortunate. I would like Epcot. I would like World Showcase to be about showcasing the countries of the world.
Yeah,
that's just me.
Well, you talked about Primeval World. You don't have to talk about that again.
You want to talk about the flying saucers?
I'll take flying saucers. You definitely mistyped the year. I don't think that opened August 6th of 1000,
just before the Crusades
1061. Yeah. August 6th of 1961 to September 5th of 1966. The problem with the flying tires in Tomorrowland, or flying tires, getting ahead of myself, the flying saucers in Disneyland was they didn't work. If you were too heavy, the thing just kind of sat there and didn't move. If you were too light, the thing just kind of sat there and didn't move. People had a hard time maneuvering them.
Right.
And so after a couple of years, they're like, you know what, just forget it. We'll just get rid of it. And then in the 2000s, when they're designing Cars Land, they're like, could the flying saucers could we make it work? Could it work? And they tried and they decided we figured it out. We figured it out. And that's Luigi's Flying Tires. Now, what I think was the mistake with Luigi's Flying Tires was people didn't really get time to learn what to do. So by the time the ride, you sit down, and by the time you figured out how to get the thing to go where you wanted, the ride was over. And that frustrated people. Obviously, you're like, I just waited 40 minutes for this, and I just figured out how it works, and now you've thrown me out, and I have to go wait in line again. No, thank you. I'm done.
Is that where your dad hurt his ribs?
No, that's Junkyard Jamboree.
Okay.
They didn't get to ride flying tires. But I thought, like, once I got it going, I was like, this is super fun. I love this. And then the beach balls were a lot of kinetic energy. Actually, one of them lives here in the museum as well. How many things on this list is there something from in this room?
Well, if you count the Tomorrowland, new Tomorrowland, we have that. We have all this alien encounter stuff.
I just meant that's on this list.
Well, I was just saying alien encounter. We have Tomorrowland because we talked about Stitch.
Luigi's Flying Tires,
Luigi's
Rocket
Flying Tires,
Rods. Yeah.
Rocket Rods.
That's a lot of them. A lot of them are in here. But yeah, so flying tires, people didn't like it because you didn't have time really to make it work. And I don't blame people. If you waited 45 minutes and then the ride didn't really work for you, I get it. But Disney gave up on it at that point, and instead did Rollickin' Roadsters, which people really like and is pretty innovative for its time. It was trackless. dancing car ride. It's a lot of fun. I miss flying tires, though. I always really enjoyed that.
I like this idea because if you grew up when I grew up, inevitably you had one friend that had an air hockey table, right? And with the puck kind of floating on a cushion of air.
Yeah.
And so this is basically the design of the ride,
You
right?
are the air
It's
hockey.
sort of like a plenum airspace underneath a floor with holes and air coming up and you kind of floating along on a cushion. I think it's great and no one's ever gotten it right. I've ridden in a hovercraft before. It's pretty fun.
Have you?
Like military. Like that's how I went ashore in Haiti in the 90s, I'll say.
Yeah.
It's great. You go from the ocean and you just go right up on the beach and go park in wherever you need to go. All right, here's one that I put on here.
That's fair.
Because it's trippy and weird.
Scary.
Magic Journeys. It's a 3D film. Originally at Epcot in 82. Was there till 86. Then they had it at Disneyland from 84 to 86. Tokyo Disneyland 85 to 87.
And it left Epcot and was moved to Magic Kingdom in an attempt to add capacity to that park because Mickey Mouse Review had been closed for so long.
Right, so it's where Film Her Magic is
87
now.
to 93 until it was replaced by Legend of the Lion King,
So the weird thing about this was when it was at Epcot, there's the Sherman Brothers had done the song, Magic Journeys, which is a weird song. It doesn't sound like Sherman Brothers. It's not a catchy
it
Sherman
doesn't.
Brothers song.
Yeah.
They also did Making Memories, which was in the pre-show out there. Which is a
fantastic Sherman
so
Brothers
you
song.
go from like a nice catchy upbeat Sherman Brothers song in the pre-show, and then you go into the theater and you hear this
And there's a
weird,
creepy clown and
depressing
this
thing
haunting
that's
song.
like, oh, maybe these guys were into drugs. That's all I could think with that song. So I copied a passage off Wikipedia describing the film because it's hard to describe to someone except it's just weird and trippy, right?
Yeah.
It kind of feels like something they would project behind Pink Floyd while they're playing or something like that.
That's fair.
Magic Journeys looked at the world through the eyes of a child. The film started with children running through a meadow and looking at clouds. Someone blew on a dandelion, and the seeds then flew away, turning into stars, and then they turned into the sun. Next, the kids are seen flying a kite at the beach. The kite then turned into a bird, a fish, a school of fish, a flock of birds, bird wings, and a Pegasus, then a horse, and then finally into a merry-go-round. While the children rode the carousel, they began reaching for a brass ring, spinning next to the carousel. This is in 3D, right? They're playing 3D tricks at this point. The carousel spins around the moon, and bats fly out past the riders. The moon becomes a witch, a mask, an Olmec head, and more until turning into a cat. A boy reaches out to the cat and it turns into the Sphinx, which turns into a lion jumping through a hoop in a circus. Trapeze artists and acrobats fly through the air and several clowns amuse the children. The circus then gives way to reveal it is only a miniature with small flying machines coming up through the roof of the room into the stars. The kids move through a room of balloons and encounter a magician. How lovely. Who is this magician and what is he giving the kids? At the end of the act, the room gives way as the kids descend through a starscape and return to the meadow with the dandelion unblowing itself. Unblowing. That's
And the
Wikipedia's
song
language,
is
not mine.
trippy, too.
Magic.
The song does match the trippiness of the film.
It's bizarre.
I don't like
You know what else I picture? It's like a if you look at like a more crude animation, like one of those Monty Python vignettes, it's just, some weird transition.
Despite the fact that it opens in 82, it's very 70s. It feels like a weird, trippy 70s thing. Yeah. I don't like it either. Never cared for it. I think we saw it like once at Magic Kingdom and I was good.
I think it would be something that would be fun for them to bring back for like a seasonal offering somewhere, just like for a week.
No.
On Tripping Balls
No,
Week.
thank you.
No? All right.
We'll never get Captain EO back. It's amazing we got Captain EO back once.
Yeah.
But Captain EO wasn't good either, for the record. But like,
No,
it
it's
was a lot
big
of
budget
fun.
with a lot of stars, though.
Yeah, but like it didn't hold up when that came back. People went to see that. You watched the faces in that theater, and the regular tourists were like, "What the hell?"
That was me. I went back when it came back thinking like, oh yeah, I remember Captain EO from when I was a kid.
Yeah,
And I came back and I was like, oh, okay.
yeah.
That was something. That was a thing. Tiki Room.
These
under
are the
new
wigs.
management.
We have the wig submissions now.
Yeah, these are
which
wig
the first one
submissions.
is Impressions in France, which is still wrong. But yeah, Tiki Room under I don't hate Tiki Room under new management.
I have trouble with Gilbert Gottfried's voice in A Place Where I'm Supposed to Relax.
So, look, I love original Tiki Room, right? Like when I was a kid, there were 3 rides that I made my parents ride over and over and over. 3 attractions I made them do over and over and over, right? Delta Dream Flight was one of them.
Yep.
Obviously, the original Journey to Imagination and Tiki Room. All I did as a kid apparently just yelled Tiki Birds at my parents all day. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to go see the Tiki Birds. And so they updated the show, and there are a lot of fun references in Under New Management to the original show. And like we've done the same show since 1963. Its times have changed. And I really like the pre-show with William and Morris. I mean, it was Phil Hartman and Don Rickles.
Right.
How do you not love Phil Hartman and Don Rickles? Like, come on. And then the show part was fun. I think it was fun enough. It had its time. It was time for it to go, and the world was ready for the original Tiki Room show to be back and be this permanent nostalgia trip. But for the time it existed, I don't dislike or have bad memories of Under New Management. I think it was fun and a nice little tongue-in-cheek sequel to the original that showed. I think it did show love and reference for the original show, where they, like, Iago comes in and is like, you guys are out of date. This is all old garbage. So I'm gonna fix this. And the Tiki Birds are like, this ain't gonna work. And by the end, Iago's like, yeah, this act's great. You guys, like, it's someone coming in. They bought some. It's kind of. I think it was Imagineers trying to. Again, a little tongue-in-cheek reference to what was going on in Imagineering at the time, where it's like, these executives don't understand. So, like, Iago's essentially one of these new Disney executives, like Michael Ovitz,
Right.
coming in who has no idea. He's like, oh, this is what we'll do. And the Tiki Birds of the Imagineers going like, we've been doing this since the 50s. We know what we're doing.
What would you say to an idea of taking the current Tiki Room and just modernizing it a little bit? I'm not talking about the show, but the sound is still kind of rough in there no matter what they've done. The birds, the animatronics are a little choppy. Like, would you want to see a Tiki Room that they could do with today's technology, or would you rather just keep it as is?
Like birds that are like modern figures where they're a little more alive.
Yeah, they're a little bit more like fluid
cartoon
movement,
character
no like loud
animation.
clicking.
A little bit more like Iago and Zazu were in this show.
A little bit, but yeah. I don't
No.
know.
No, I don't think they need to build. Like, look, people don't want animatronic shows anymore anyway. Like, that's
Yeah.
the audiences. I don't think it's a thing people really clamor for. And so I think, like, the charm of Tiki Room is that it's the first animatronic show and it's connected to Walt. And that's what makes it relevant and charming and special, right?
Yeah.
Like Country Bears, they're not going to go in and change the bear figures. Like, they still will be the bears. They're just performing other songs. And I think that's the right call. I don't think you go in and redo the figures and make them
Too
like modern
realistic.
figures.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think
Yeah.
you leave Tiki Room. Tiki Room is what it is, and you leave it alone.
And I'm just reminded of we went to Marceline for the dedication of that clock.
Yeah.
This year, and Garner Holt had a booth there,
Yeah.
and they are. I don't know if they're ready to sell them now. They
They were supposed to be this time. yeah.
build your own animatronic Tiki Bird kit,
You could program it.
and they had and you could program it yourself.
Yeah.
And they had basically all the. Then they have Jose, basically birds that look like
toucan, a
Jose,
macaw, yeah.
Pierre,
Yeah.
Fritz, and whoever, Michael. They basically had all the colors. So Garner Holt, I don't know if they're
I have to
ready.
look if they
I don't
came
know.
out.
Let's see when they come out.
Because I
I'm sure
really
they're
want, I
expensive.
really, really want one.
Yeah, I want to build. I want the experience of building one.
I just want to like program it and play with it. That's really. I don't know if I really want to build it.
That might be fun.
Lucas build it.
Anyway.
Casey Jr.'s on here?
Oh yeah.
What soulless, heartless person put Casey Jr. circus
Look,
train?
if you have only been there as an adult for this with other adults, and you're trying to cram your whole party into one of those
it's
little.
charming. It's a 50s attraction. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
But I'm just saying, if your experience is, trying to cram people in there, because the same could be said. Storybook Canal Boats is on there too. Somebody the Wigs.
How dare you?
Storybook Land Canal Boats. They take up a lot of space. They are I think they're charming. I think the miniaturization is just off enough that feels homespun and a little more low tech, and I like that.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. I can see why
What
people are
Bill
like,
Evans
"Oh,
did
right."
with the trees, like the tiny trees,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna be mean. I'm gonna be real mean for a second and say how I feel. I'm gonna be honest. I think if you think Casey Jr. and Storybook Land are bad attractions, you don't understand what Disney is. You have no idea of the legacy or anything of the company. I'm sorry. Because it's that charm, the level of detail. Like again, the magic of a bunch of guys who drew cartoons were then tasked with building the world's first theme park. And look what they did. Look at this charming little miniature. Like look what Bill Evans did with how it looks like those are little trees and like all this. The big quilt. It's kind of magical, given the story and the history and what it is and what it's meant to people for 60-something years. It doesn't get more Disney than Storybook Land and Casey
Well, look,
Jr.
there was a time too in the company's history when they didn't have a huge like bench of all kinds of top tier IP and things to go with, and they were literally like, let's do the Three Little Pigs, let's do some of these, fables and things that were different that people don't
I'm going to
associate.
be mean to you again for a
I'm just
minute.
saying they were doing things that people don't associate.
Three Little Pigs wasn't a big IP. Everyone in the world
But
had
Three
seen
Little
that
Pigs was
cartoon.
not, and it was not an original Disney IP. These are fables that go back.
None of their IPs were
Right.
original.
So that's what I'm saying.
Cinderella, none
No,
of them
but
were.
a lot of this stuff is characters that were not part of, these are things that go way back.
But they
And
became Disney
Yeah,
characters,
Gulliver's Travels, all these
Yeah.
kind of things. So that's all I'm saying is there were some of these don't connect with people the same way because they don't feel Disney. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's how people.
Those the quintessential Disneyland is Casey Jr. and Storybook Land, and if you as a Disney fan don't go to that park and see that as special, that connection to 50s Disneyland and how charming and cute.
What I like about
ride
Storybook
is.
Land, well, it's weird. It's one of those places when you're in the queue, it's so narrow. You're like,
The queue's terrible.
we are bigger than the people were in
Yeah.
1955. A lot of the
all
old
directions.
Fantasyland stuff you can. But like you get on the boat and like I'm used to anything that's a moving ride, like having a restraint.
Mm-hmm.
You get on this boat, or not a restraint, but it's like kind of railing in a.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of like, how many people are we going to cram on this boat? And they're like, hey, let me get some kids to sit up there crisscross applesauce on the bow.
Yeah.
And kids are riding on the bow of this boat.
And you all got to sit
at
down and stand up at
Disneyland.
the same time, or we're
Yeah.
going in.
Yeah, like
right?
like everybody on the left, move this way, and everybody stand up. Like I like that, right? It's not just like everybody pile into this little bench seat with a railing.
It's this
and,
connection to the past. It's
Yeah.
a little taste of Walt Disney's Disneyland.
in some ways, it's the most dangerous ride at Disneyland.
Probably,
because
but
that boat could capsize
People
if you
don't
do it
fall
wrong.
in all the time, though. It never happens.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you? If it never actually happens, then it's perfectly safe.
Yeah.
May not feel like it because we're so overprotective in all modern attractions, but yeah. Buzz Lightyear, Astro Blaster, I'm on board with that.
I think Astro Blasters is better than Space Ranger Spin.
They're all,
they're all
their
junk.
time has passed.
They're
all
junk.
of them.
None
Toy
of those
Story
things.
Mania
None of the
surpassed
guns work.
them.
None of the guns shoot straight. That technology is junk.
Toy Story Mania surpassed it. Let the rest die. Leave Mania. Yeah.
I agree. I think that's. But in its time, it was a good attraction at one point.
When they opened them, sure. But once Toy Story Mania opened, that was it.
But I mean, a lot of these things we talked about have been bad from day one, right?
No, Buzz is just now it's bad. It wasn't bad when it opened. Like none of them were bad. They are now because they're a little long in the tooth now, and it's not charming. It's not like Storybook Land where it had all this, artistry involved, right? What Bill Evans did with the horticulture and what the artisans did with building the miniatures. It doesn't have that artistry to it, right? Because it's a bunch of like cheap cardboardy sets and not.
What I like about the Storybook Land canal boats is that it's just enough that you can see the craftsmanship and that it's not so corporate. Like you can't make little tiny blades of grass to that scale. So the grass looks a little weird next to these cottages and little sticks of wood and all this kind of stuff. I think is very charming. I think
All the ducks asleep on the little island in the
Yeah.
middle with the tiny benches.
Yeah.
How could you be such a heartless, soulless human being to be upset about the little park with the big ducks in it? Like, come on. I don't understand how someone who claims to love Disney could feel that way. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I can see how I will defend them. Like, I don't agree with them, but I will defend them and say, look, people like different things. They're like,
I'm not saying it has to be your
like Rolly
favorite,
Crump
but
said,
to-
it's like a salad. There's something there for everybody.
But to not at least
you
be
might
like, oh,
not
that
like
was cute.
cucumbers, right? You might not like cucumbers, or you might just
But
be
to
a
outright
tomato
say
person.
it's bad, to not be like, I just don't, it's not my favorite, but I see why people love it. To
There's
just be
just-
like,
there's-
no, this is bad. This is
No,
bad.
look, we've been to eat and you've called a restaurant that I like bad and I've called a restaurant that you like bad before, right? It's subjective, right? It doesn't mean that anybody's wrong.
No, I think they're wrong. In this case, I think they're wrong.
Mission Space.
We skipped Submarine Voyage.
well, we,
which is another one I
skipped
don't
Mission
agree
Space.
with, but,
Orange. I get it. That's if you can't physically tolerate a ride, you're not going to like it. I also think it's not a great ride anyway.
It's not. It's kind of heartless and soulless. But the one thing it has going for it is it's pretty innovative, right? Like there is no one else has ever built a ride that gets you that close to the real feeling of going to space, right? It's probably not something that's meant to be experienced by everyone in the general public. So maybe it should have been built at one of the world's busiest theme parks, and maybe it should be like an upcharge thing with a severe warning at like Cape Canaveral. At the Space Center, but
yeah, no, I get it.
it's not a Disney attraction. There's nothing really Disney about it. There's no great storytelling. It has no heart. So I get it.
I have been on that before though, where there is a certain sense of anticipation you get that can be a nice feeling sometimes. A little bit of the nerd. The last time I rode it was when we did a show. We did a bit called Man vs. Park, and we drank around the world and hit every country, and then we rode Mission Space on Orange. That's the last time I did it.
11 alcoholic beverages and then Mission Space.
Yeah, and there is the
went about as
anticipation,
good
like
as you think it
how am I going to handle this? I don't know.
Yeah.
Am I going to be okay at the end of this?
Yeah.
Or am I going to be, humiliating myself?
But at least something unique and different, and they tried to do something no one had ever done before. So there's some merit there. Is it a good attraction? Probably not.
It triggered unknown claustrophobia within me at one point. Where I was like, I never thought I was claustrophobic, and then I was stuck in there for a while. Like the console came down, and then but they didn't start the ride, and we're just sitting there, and a kid starts freaking out next to me. I'm like, man, we are really, really tight in here. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. All right, Submarine Voyage. You want to talk about it?
It's another like classic Disneyland thing where if you're just being mean for the sake of being mean. I think I like it. I don't think it's bad.
I can see why people don't like it if they're claustrophobic.
If you're claustrophobic, yeah, but does that make the
mobility
attraction bad? There's a difference between what are the worst attractions of all time and what are attractions that make you personally uncomfortable, right? Just because I don't like to ride a certain ride doesn't mean the ride is bad. Maybe I am uncomfortable with certain aspects of it, right? In Mission Space, right?
Right.
And the same thing with Submarine Voyage. If I'm claustrophobic, yeah, but does that make the attraction bad? No, it just
make it
makes it
bad for
something
some
that
people.
I don't go on because I'm claustrophobic.
Yeah,
But that doesn't speak to the quality of the attraction.
I will say, as much as I have a soft spot in my heart for these, that I have been on it when it's kind of a leaky, stinks like gas or diesel or whatever, leaky, unpleasant experience.
Sure.
That has overshadowed the storytelling and the maquettes and everything that you see underwater, and I can understand why people don't like it. I like it, although I'm a 20,000 Leagues guy, right? Yeah. I think what I like the most about 20,000 Leagues, though, is looking at those submarines, just the style from the exterior of them.
Look, the original ride, if we talk about original Submarine Voyage, original 20K, they were long in the tooth. By the time they ended, it was time for them to end. Current Submarine Voyage, there's a merit to it existing.
Yeah.
But
I'm surprised that those ride vehicles still,
the subs
still exist. That they're still holding out.
It's good that they do. It's nice to see them.
Mickey Mouse Club Circus.
I never saw this.
I didn't see it either. I can't really. offer an
Is there proof that it was bad? I don't know.
I mean, it sounds pretty dumb.
It didn't last that long. I guess.
Add the word circus to anything, and my opinion of it goes down slightly. I have to
Walt
say.
Disney World Space Mountain. Look, like the Matterhorn's not on here, right?
No,
Because
same thing, right?
It's a historical significance, right? This is what was possible at the time. That's Space Mountain. Like, look, it's definitely rough, and it definitely can be uncomfortable, but it's a piece of history, right? Like, look what they did in 19. Look at that building next to Tron. Tron, built with modern technology and a multi-billion-dollar corporation, cannot compare to the structure next door that they built without computers. They were just like, hey, I think if we lean a bunch of concrete pillars against each other, I think we can build this space-looking mountain. And then inside, what if we put 2 roller coaster tracks inside? Like, that's John Hedge. They were insane.
Yeah.
They were clinically, and they're like, oh, the people mover will go through it too. That's what a feat.
Again, I can understand why there are people that don't like it. I don't think that makes it bad. If we're in Tomorrowland, one that is not on this list that I'm just going to add is if we're ranking flat spinners, Astro Orbiters should be my favorite, and it's my least favorite.
Why?
It's uncomfortable. I think the radius is just such that it's a little bit more like being kind of pushed up against it. Like there's a little more centrifugal force that you're feeling.
Get shoved, yeah.
It's one of very few that, believe it or not, it's one of very few flat spinners at Disney World that goes clockwise. The only one I can think of besides that is one of the Dumbo ones. I think the Dumbo ones, one goes clockwise and one goes counterclockwise. I think the one on the left goes clockwise maybe. But I don't know. I think Astro Orbiters, you wait in this very long line and there's this elevator. There's only one way to... It's
fair.
a pain in the butt.
I'm glad it exists because the kinetic energy is nice,
That is
right?
the one saving grace of that ride is I just like
So
when
even
you
if no
walk
one-
in and you see the people mover going around and you see the Astro Orbiters going and now you see Tron Light Cycle run in the distance. Like I think that's great. I think that's something we need more of. I think World Drive when we had the moving Tower of Terror billboard and then you drive and then the monorails going by and also it creates all this excitement for people. I don't know why we don't want that anymore.
So World of Frozen, Hong Kong, like they have Frozen Ever After, which doesn't go outside, right?
Yeah.
But then they built everyone's being mean about the coaster, but I'm so glad the coaster is there because it adds this kinetic energy that it brings the place to life.
Yeah.
Right? An Astro Orbiter, right? Even if I never go on it, I'm glad it exists because it makes the land feel alive. I love it.
That is the saving grace. Like we've talked about this before, that Disneyland's Main Street is the original. And in many ways, I think Disneyland's attractions are better and their lands are slightly inferior to Disney World, even though, I love Disneyland. It's original. I think the scale is just like this much off on Main Street there where they really nailed it in Florida, where the Main Street in Florida is really great. But in Disneyland, when you walk in and there's a train going over your head and there are omnibuses and vehicles like we have that at Disney World, but they're going at like 8 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night at Disneyland sometimes. They have these vehicles. There's a buzz of all this stuff happening in the park.
Generally, our parks feel pretty dead.
Yeah.
Magic Kingdom's good because we still have a lot of that. There's enough of that Disneyland type kinetic energy stuff, right? So People Mover, Astro Orbiter, Speedway.
Especially Tomorrowland over to
The riverboat.
Circus.
At least we still have the riverboat. There's one thing running on the river, thank God.
Yeah, Big Thunder in the distance. Yeah, it's nice. Those things are nice, but I think Disneyland's Main Street, all the vehicles and stuff moving, it helps the park. It makes it feel alive. It makes you feel like you're part of something cool and that there's something to explore.
Yeah. Which hyperspace mountain are they talking about? Paris or California?
I think they're talking about California.
I love the California one. I think regular Space Mountain in California should be done away with, and it should always be that Hyperspace Mountain. I think it's great. Hyperspace Mountain in Paris is an abomination, and that should be returned to its original form.
The Terre de la Lune.
Yes, please.
I agree. Bring back the
Please.
Baltimore Gun Club.
Bring back the moon.
I love Disneyland Space Mountain.
Yeah.
It breaks down a lot.
Yeah.
They have that like side track that slides in, and I think I was talking to one of the cast members because it broke down a bunch while I'm there, and they're like, "So, excuse me, they have something like 18 seconds to load. When they have like as many
It cascades
trains
real quick.
on the track as they can, they have like something like 18 seconds to get a vehicle loaded and move it to the next
That's why they
position.
yell at you.
And when it stops, when that backs up, when they get too aggressive, putting too many trains on the track, trying to cycle more people through, it can cause this cascading effect where we were on it one time, and it broke down. We got stopped right before the last drop. We were done, right? There's one little drop just to get you enough to go to the stage. So we're there, and boom, lights come on. We're in there looking around. And by the way, their Space Mountain. I've seen our Space Mountain in Florida. The lights are on all the time, especially now because they've been having a lot of like electrical problems. I think there. The last 3 times I've been on a People Mover, I've gotten to see Space Mountain with the lights on.
Yeah.
Disneyland's is much cleaner than ours, and
Ours is filthy. Yeah.
It is. I mean, there's a
They
problem.
also had to rebuild theirs in 2005. But
And then the cast member comes walking up, and all they did was they just pushed us to the next thing, and we dropped down, a foot or two, and coasted in the station, and let's ride again.
Yeah.
But the music and the way they do it, I think it's much better.
Can I take this one because I hate this goddamn thing.
Oh yeah.
The Tomorrowland Speedway.
Yeah, get rid of it.
Gas fumes and the track just been shortened and shortened and shortened. There's not really great views from ours. Like the Autopia should exist at Disneyland because it's an original attraction and it needs to be updated over time. They have over the years, and it's a nice update. We've never updated ours. It's very 70s. It's very plain. It's very sterile. It's very utilitarian. The queue has nothing in it. It's white walls. It's a cinder. It looks like a Six Flags queue.
Yeah.
And the ride is garbage. Bulldoze this thing and put something of value.
The steering is so out of whack on those things. There's no way. I challenge
Except
you.
the Tokyo cars.
I challenge you at Disney World to get on the Tomorrowland Speedway and not touch the railing.
Yeah.
Not hit the railing. Because the steering on those things is so loose and out of whack. It might as well not even have a steering wheel. Right?
It's a piece of garbage.
It is garbage.
Its
I
time
agree.
has
Get rid of it.
come.
That land is valuable. You can do something really cool with that. I appreciate, like we said, that the kinetic energy. Take a drink every time we say kinetic energy, but I appreciate that about it, and that's all I appreciate about it. I'm done with it.
But is the kinetic energy of the Speedway worth it for the
No.
car noise and the gas smell?
No.
Probably not. Should I take the next one also?
I know you want to take the next one.
Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
I'm going to go in my. I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
I'm not going to go on my rant. I'm glad someone said it. I don't think it succeeds at what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a madcap adventure through the cartoon world. Yeah. They achieved that in the early 90s when they built Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin. It feels zany and wacky and like you've entered a cartoon. Runaway Railway just doesn't achieve that at any point. And when it does, you're distracted by these weird-ass animatronics that look, there's something wrong with them. You don't understand why they look the way they look. There's like projection bubble face Mickey and Minnie on a floating hot dog cart. The story's impossible to follow no matter what row or what car you sit in. It's a trackless ride where there's scenes that do not utilize the trackless technology to their advantage, right? You built a scene with a spinning item in the middle, and the vehicles don't go around it.
Yeah.
There's a spinning item in the middle. Go watch. Do yourself a favor. Go watch Mystic Manor. Go watch a video of Mystic Manor.
No, it gets me angry.
That last scene, you circle that monkey god statue, and all these things are happening around you, and you're like, this is why this is track. There's so many moments in that where they utilize the trackless technology to its most. Same with Honey Hunt. Same with several others. And Railway, except for the dance sequence, there's nothing that really needed that to be trackless. They're like, well, you're in a cartoon world, get it? You jumped off the track, which in theory is a good story idea, but I don't think the ride ever captures. Look, I'm not the biggest fan of those shorts, but I'll admit some of them are very good. Some of them are very funny. I don't think it captures the comedy of any of those modern Mickey shorts. So I don't think it succeeds in any way, shape, or form as what it is.
And what was their budget compared to like trackless vehicles in Cars Land, the Luigi vehicles, And those are cute. They do like
way more
cool
charming and,
little
yeah.
dancing things, and like it's just way
They
more.
go to the because someone cared,
Yeah.
right? Because someone was competent and cared and was like, oh well, if it's gonna be, it's an Italian family reunion and their cars, so we have to do all these line dances and get in a circle and two cars dance in the middle, and we have to do all these things you would do in at an Italian wedding. But we're going to do it in cars, and that's a ton of fun, and it works really well with the ride system. Yeah. And for Railway, they was like, it's trackless because we're building a bunch of trackless rides now, and it's cheaper to build a bunch at once.
So I will stand up for it in a couple ways. Runaway Railway is not my favorite ride. I don't think it's a bad ride because I know a lot of people really love it. Yeah. A lot of people really like it. And I think my criticisms of it are more because I know what they're capable of versus what they did.
Yeah.
And they're not because I can't have a good time taking a child on that ride and having fun. It can be fun.
Yeah. It's fine. Is it worth the money they spent and the amount of real estate? It's giant.
Yeah.
Right? Did that need to be that big, or could it have been a charming little dark ride using that technology, right? Could it have been a much smaller footprint and something still as good to people, right? Because no one comes off of that and goes, that was amazing. The people that like it come off of that and they go, oh, that was cute. That was cute. Is anything where the response is that was cute deserve to be the centerpiece of a park and a show building that size? No. That's insane. A little baby dark ride like Pinocchio's Daring Journey, where people come off and go, oh, that was really cute. It's a very small building and a ride that a lot of money was not spent on. That's the appropriate response. But if you get that response for your big e-ticket dark ride adventure, you've failed.
I just think you finally do a big ride, big e-ticket, in quotation marks, ride featuring Mickey Mouse. He gets his own. The guy's been around since
the most iconic character in all of popular culture.
Yeah, he's been around 100 years or whatever. I don't remember when his birthday is. 95 years. I think he just turned 95. Yeah. 95 years. Now he gets his own ride. He's taken a back seat and watched, Drew Carey have appear in multiple attractions, and he's had to watch, the Three Little Pigs. And he's had to watch some of the C-list take all his glory.
Yeah,
and finally we get a Mickey Mouse ride. This should be the biggest, baddest, coolest ride.
It should.
And
be
there's such a cool story they could tell with it, and they didn't. That doesn't mean it's not a fun ride and people don't enjoy it. I will say when I've been on it with people who hadn't been on it before, they're laughing.
Yeah.
They're having a good time. And that's why you go to a theme park.
Yeah.
But like you say, are you there to have fun, or what's the quote?
For the size of the attraction and the scope of it, it should have been something with a response like you rode Rise of the Resistance. It shouldn't have been, oh, that's cute. Right? That's the problem. I think the response it's gotten at Disneyland tells you everything you need to know. I think the response and how it's enjoyed at Disneyland is appropriate, right? It does not get a super long wait. They got rid of the virtual queue system almost instantaneously. They had to start including it with Genie Plus. It got rid of its individual Lightning Lane purchase relatively quickly because the demand was not there. It's a cute family ride.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. It is not amazing. It is not some grand feat. It does not do anything that has never been done before.
So let's just say time period wise, this is similar timeline to Enchanted Tales with Belle in Tokyo Disneyland, right?
This opened 3 months
and
after Rise of the Resistance.
I watched that thing on YouTube so many times and looked at that final scene and be like, how did they do this?
Yeah.
How did they accomplish this? Look what these people are capable of.
Yeah.
And then you go on Runaway Railway and you're just kind of like, I almost made it through the ride without it stopping.
Because Disney legend Ron Logan, when we had him 5 years ago.
God rest his soul, Ron Logan. Yeah.
Great man.
From Leavenworth, Kansas, by the way.
Yeah. When he talked about, he mostly worked, he worked in entertainment. Yeah. Right? But when we talked about newer nighttime shows, I asked him about how he felt about like projections. He's like, they have a place, but he feels like, he said in most cases it's a money saving thing. We can do less pyro and we can do less of this, we could do less of that because we rely on projection. And I think you're going to argue with a guy who's a Disney legend. I'm not going to. I think that's true for rides too. I think their projections have their time, right? There are moments in rides that you cannot, there's no other way to achieve the effect. But for the whole ride, almost the entirety of Runaway Railway to be mostly flat walls with projections on them, it's not the best anyone could have done. It's not. It was a way to keep costs in line and deliver something in a reasonable manner for them, right?
David in the live chat has a good one. I can't believe I didn't put this on the list. Pixar Pal Around.
Leave it alone. It's different.
It's an awful ride.
No, it's not. Why is it awful? There's only 2 of those in the world that do that.
That's because nobody likes that.
Oh, I think it's fantastic. I love it. Oh, God. It's unique and interesting. I don't think it's bad at all. If it was a straight up Ferris wheel, you just go around, yeah, sure, but at least they picked something fun and interesting. They picked an angle. I don't agree.
Cali River Rapids.
Yeah, piece of garbage. Way too short.
Way too
budget
short.
cut to death.
Very long wait.
It's the worst whitewater rapid ride in the world.
And I will say this: it is among the worst. Jason. So Jason and I went to Worlds of Fun and we rode Fury of the Nile. Same type of raft, same type of system.
Yeah.
Like infinitely better than Cali River Rapids at a Cedar Fair park, and the ride is probably 40 years old.
Yeah.
And Cali River Rapids is like, oh, we're going up a lift. Up, it's over. You're like, I just waited in line for an hour for this crap.
Yeah.
Speaking of getting wet, it's not a bad ride. Don't get mad. But Disneyland's version of Splash Mountain.
Comparatively, yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
You sit, the vehicles, the log is different. So you would sit in front of, you're in your own row. And you're basically leaning back. There is a seat, a plank, but you're essentially in the crotch of the person behind you, and their feet are up next to your knees, and et cetera, et cetera. I'm in the front, and I'm like, almost like I'm over the front of the boat. Like, the water doesn't just splash you there; it just comes over the side of the boat. Or it did. And on a 55-degree day, we talked about it in Wiggs Court earlier today. I got as soaked as I ever got scuba diving.
Yeah.
On a 55-degree day, because that ride is the way the vehicle interacts with the ride system was unacceptable. So I love Splash Mountain and I will miss it, but that ride vehicle, the worst. And I assume they're going to keep the same style log for Tiana's Bayou when it becomes Tiana's Bayou Adventure. They're not going to make it into a side-by-side all of a
My
sudden.
larger problem was how bad they kept the Mark Davis America Sings animatronics, which is great.
Right.
They're wonderful.
Right.
The Brer, Fox, and Bear and Rabbits were hideous. So it makes total sense why when Tokyo and Florida were like, okay, we're doing this next, they're like, we're not building those figures again. Those look like trash. Also, the Disneyland one was pretty incoherent. I mean, it was weird. It was a weird, bad splash.
That was one of the only, when I look at rides that they have at the Magic Kingdom and they have at Disneyland.
Yeah.
It's one of the only ones where I was like, oh, Magic Kingdom blows this one away.
Guess where the best one is, though?
I'm guessing it's in Japan.
And it's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's in Japan. And it's
Still there.
Well, there you have with that one.
There's one thing left, and I whoever this is, we're going to be revoking their Wiggs membership. I don't know how you could be a supporter of this organization and write this.
Someone said the Country Bear Jamboree.
You're going to hell.
Wow.
God loves the Country Bears. How dare you? Walt's last laugh. Mark Davis created these characters. They're charming and funny, and they are a Walt Disney World original. They are the heart and soul of that park, a park that was mostly attractions cloned from Disneyland. They are the heart and soul of that park, and it's a cute and fun and charming and entertaining show. I do not agree.
I don't agree. I have heard criticisms that I consider valid from people who are maybe uncomfortable with it being primarily like a white person attraction, right? A friend of mine who's black mentioned that attraction made him feel uncomfortable.
Okay.
Right? I don't know that. I don't know
He meant like
specifically what about it.
all the bears are white?
Maybe it's everyone clapping on 1 and 3. I don't know what it is.
That's fair.
But I have people. More than one person has mentioned to me that it feels a little exclusionary for whatever reason. I don't know that was his intent. It just could be the way that it.
I mean, I'm white, so
it's invisible to you, right? It's invisible to me.
There's
but I understand.
like Splash Mountain, I totally understood the problems there. I mean, the voice of Brer Rabbit does not, you cannot be alive and think that voice was not offensive.
Right.
Come on.
Right.
But bear, I don't know. They're bears. They're not any race. I don't know. But I mean, multiple people feel that way.
Look, there are themes in there.
Yeah.
In some of the songs that when you dissect them, we're talking about whooping a kid or shooting him.
Yeah.
You're talking about blood on the saddle, someone essentially dying. You're talking about people's size or appearance. You have, she ain't pretty, but I ain't too, or whatever.
Yeah.
I get it. There's some of that stuff that some people are more uncomfortable with in 2023 than they would have been in 1975 or whenever.
They're also...
But I don't think it's a bad attraction. It can be. You can have an attraction that didn't age well in terms of its source material.
Yeah.
That is still good.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad attraction. It may just not have transitioned well into the modern.
Yeah.
Modern
and
age.
I don't disagree with that. I understand that. But yeah, your Wigs membership will be revoked. We'll look up. You'll be removed.
Maybe you're getting trolled. I don't know.
I think someone's joking. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't imagine being a fan of WWNT and not loving the Country Bears. You kind of have to. We force it upon you.
You get it by osmosis around here. I'm surrounded by the largest collection of Country Bear plush in the world.
It's the largest Country Bear memorabilia collection on Earth. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. If anyone's in a live chat and you have anything you'd like us to talk about before we wrap up in a couple minutes, please let us know. Any bad attractions, bad experiences that you had, bad
I've been
parks,
looking. I think we covered everything everyone has. I don't see anything. What is Tom drinking? Soda.
I was drinking water. I just felt like when I drank it out of that water bottle, sometimes they're thin and you squeeze them and the water gets all over you.
They make that crunchy noise.
People made fun of my noises from the water,
Oh,
pouring
did
the
they?
water. Remember like a few podcasts ago that happened?
No.
But it's good to be back in the saddle, so to speak.
Even if there's blood on it.
I don't think we made any secret of it. We filmed 4 episodes in a course of like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
Because we knew that I was going to be on vacation and then you were going to be on that cruise and in Hong Kong, and then we were going to come straight in here and do a live one. So we haven't sat in the same room and
it's been a hot minute.
Shot the stuff for a while.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to get off your chest while you're here?
We plugged everything we needed to plug.
We plug everything. Wigs. If we talked about being a Wigs member.
Yeah.
We haven't told you how you become one.
Well, you join at WDWNT. That one works too, right?
Yeah.
But the typical one is patreon.com/WDWNT will take you there.
Or WDWNT.com/Patreon.
There you go.
Either way, or go to WDWNT.com and click the Patreon link. At least that says in our ad. I guess we have a Patreon link on this.
We do. And then $7 a month or higher, and you get to watch us do these live, like you just did, if you watch this live. Yeah, and you also there's the Zoom with Tom if you're Club 33 and higher, and all sorts of fun benefits and things, yeah.
Yeah, it's great. We love the Wigs. It's a growing community. And that Discord, the Discord
the most
server's
members we've
always
ever
going
had.
crazy.
Most members we've ever had right now.
How many do we have right now?
Well, the count on here is wrong, but I know it's the highest ever, so I don't have the actual number in front of me. But
That's
it is
great.
I know it's the most we've ever had now.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Hopefully the podcast has helped.
I think so. I think there's plenty of people who join specifically because they want to watch us do these live or get early access or be a part of it, yeah.
If you have ideas you'd like to see us discuss on the podcast, you can email me at eric@wdwnt.com.
Yeah.
Or Tom at wdwnt.com.
That is my
He
email.
probably gets more email than I do. But in any case, yeah, you want to look, I'm always up for free ideas and what to do. It's not always easy to throw all this together with everything else. So
We've got a couple ideas kicking around. It's about, I think we're also trying to do them in the proper order. I think we're trying to, we just did 4 episodes about one topic. and now we're trying to.
I
keep
think some
things-
people were like, okay, or they,
Yeah.
you know, it's all right.
Yeah. So we'll try to switch things up and pick some things that are different. I know I've been asked a lot about international parks. We almost did Hong Kong in this episode, but I thought that was, given the honest review of World of Frozen just coming out and a lot of that stuff, there might be some fatigue. We'll do that.
I just
down
feel like
the
we have to get
line.
enough views of all of our podcasts currently to make enough money to send me to Hong Kong so I can give a valid opinion on it.
Yeah.
So maybe there, go there maybe for Christmas. You think Christmas in Hong Kong?
Is that what you want to do?
It's a month from today.
I was there for Thanksgiving. I mean,
They probably don't celebrate that.
they don't. Nope. So I had a very.
I don't know
weird
about Christmas.
Thanksgiving. They do because it's Christmas stuff at the park. Yeah.
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 There's a park that's on my list. I gotta go.
They should all be on your list, even Shanghai, which I don't like.
I do want to go to Shanghai.
You have to go. Yeah. I mean, even if I don't.
I'm a little afraid of
like
the
it.
food.
Should be very
situation?
food's gross.
Yeah.
No, it's not because it's Chinese cuisine.
It's just low quality.
It's just there's a lot of bad food in that park. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Hong Kong's a lot of good food. I enjoy a lot of the things there.
Hong Kong's has a long history of being very westernized, though. So
It's very diverse. There's a little bit of everything. There's Korean squid. There's you get fried chicken.
Korean squid.
You could get,
Does he read the news? Let the squid man read the news.
It's the park food is very diverse in Hong Kong. There's a little bit of influence from everywhere. It's a melting pot. It's a little New Yorky in nature because of that.
Campbell Soup, you're a lunatic if you think race has anything to do with country bears. I didn't say that race had anything to do with country bears.
You lunatic.
I said that someone.
Told
me
race
that I thought
race almost did have something to do with the country bears. On a previous episode, we talked about the country bear racing attraction.
Yeah.
That was gonna
Critter Country 500. Yeah.
that was a country bear attraction all about race. Want to edit that out? You can. I don't care.
No, you can. Who cares? It's 11:25 p.m.
It's
on
time
a
to
Saturday.
end.
The people who are still watching really care about this stuff. So maybe who cares?
It's probably
Bad
time
choice
to
of
end
words.
their show.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for watching. What's up next?
Well, if you're watching the marathon show, we're going to play the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea board game.
Okay.
But if you're not, if you're just watching this later in the week, then we hope you have a good week, and we'll see you real soon.